hope is that we all get it. Don't give in to the pain, just keep living, cause
got dreams I'm striving for. So I'm gonna live higher. I'm gonna live higher. I got dreams I'm striving.
Guys, it's Toby Rosario, and in today's video I wanted to talk about my top 5 books that are on my list, and I'm very curious to see what yours are. Let me know in the comments what your top 5 books are. So let's go ahead and get started. So for me, the number 1 book, this is not in any particular order or anything like that. So my number 1 book is Rich Dad Poor Dad, the classic book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. For me, when I read that book, it was literally the only book till this day that I have read from cover to cover without stopping. Right? I was so involved, so immersed into that book. It just gave me a paradigm shift, a quick mindset shift. So that book is on my list, right? Number 2 was Awaken the Giant Within, and that book is by Tony Robbins. And here's what I'll say about that. A lot of people, for whatever reason, they don't resonate with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is more, to me, he's not a motivator. I don't get motivated by Tony Robbins. I start to really, I get more inspired. I think those are 2 separate things. I start to really ask myself these certain questions. It's more psychological. For me, Tony Robbins is like a catalyst. He's not a motivator, in my opinion. But Awaken the Giant Within is a great book. It's definitely on my top 5. It had an immense impact on my life. And in another video, I'll explain kind of how the type of impact he has had on my life. So that'll be on another video. But Awaken the Giant Within, okay? Number 3, classic book, if you haven't heard of it, by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek. It's an amazing, amazing book. When I read that book, it was just like all these ideas popped in my head. It was just like new perspective, paradigm shift. I was just blown away. It's an amazing book. I read that a long time ago. And here's another thing. Here's what I'll say. So when you read books, sometimes I feel like it's all about timing. Most of these books I read a long time ago, and at the time I read them, I felt like I read them at the right time in my life. Does that make sense? I feel like some people might read certain books, and it's all about timing. So for them, it might not give them the impact that it did to them as it would for somebody else who's at a different part in their life, a different chapter. Does that make sense? So they might not have the same impact on them as it would for somebody else. So that was an amazing book. And then also, number 4 would be Go Giver by Bob Berg. Amazing, amazing book. That was just another. All these books for me, and this is why I have them on my top 5. It's because they give me a different perspective, a paradigm shift in how I think, how I look at the world, and just give me new ideas, new innovative ideas that make you think a different way and approach life and live life a different way. So for me, it's Rich Dad Poor Dad, Awaken the Giant Within, 4-Hour Workweek, and then Go Giver. And then I'm having a hard time trying to get to pick a number 5. So I'm not sure who would I put on my top 5. I mean, there's a ton of books that I read. It was a ton of really great books. I would probably add maybe Think and Grow Rich, maybe E-Myth, maybe. It's just so many books. Maybe The Expert Secrets. The list goes on. So to be honest with you, it's a toss-up between E-Myth, Think and Grow Rich. You know what? I'm having a hard time deciding, but if I had to decide, I would probably say E-Myth. It's a business book about building systems, having systems in place and things like that. Amazing, amazing book. And that list is probably going to change. What's going to stay on my list forever, top 5, or top 4, I should say. Definitely Rich Dad Poor Dad, Awaken the Giant Within, 4-Hour Workweek, and The Go Giver. Those gave me different perspective, different ideas, mind shift changes, and for me, those are the ones that will always be on my top 4. Top 10, I have a whole bunch of books that I can recommend. Let me know in the comments what books really resonated with you, and and are in your top 5 list. Again, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to turn that bell notification so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. That's my time. My name is Toby Rosario. Peace.